Today I thought I could do a video on body recomposition, also known as how to gain muscle whilst simultaneously losing fat. This is something I feel like I get asked mostly on, so I thought I could break it down into a video and kind of simplify something that can feel quite complex to get your head around. So let's start from the top. So usually you'll have most likely heard of cutting, which is losing overall body fat, weight loss, fat loss, and then bulking, which is gaining a lot of muscle, but also usually what comes with that is gaining a significant amount of body fat. Back in the good old sort of bodybuilding days, it was predominantly just those two methods that people used, like specifically in the bodybuilding competing industry. And then there's been a lot more sort of newer science on body recomposition that has come out. Not only does it enhance your physical appearance, but also really improves your metabolic health and increases functional strength. This is not for absolutely everyone. There are people that come within certain categories. So starting with, what does a body recomp look like?
So when going through a body recomposition, there are different categories which each require a tailored approach, including specific training and nutrition strategies. So starting with detrained individuals, so this would be someone who was previously active or engaged in regular exercise but has taken a significant break from training, leading to a loss of strength, muscle mass and conditioning. One approach with this could be starting with low to moderate intensity workouts, focusing on basic movement patterns and incorporating resistance training to rebuild lost muscle mass and strength. Then we've got highly trained individuals, so this would be someone who's consistently engaged in structured exercise and resistance training for an extended period of time, so could be years. An approach for this would be to implement periodized training programs to prevent plateaus and promote continuous progress, so incorporating more advanced training techniques, variations in intensity to stimulate muscle growth, and also optimizing your macronutrient intake based on your individual goals and training phases. And we've got skinny fat individuals, so this could be someone with a relatively low body weight but a higher body fat percentage and lower muscle mass. So an approach for this example could be to focus on resistance training to build muscle mass and improve overall muscular appearance by emphasizing compound exercises to target multiple muscle groups, aiming for a slight calorie deficit to promote fat loss whilst ensuring sufficient protein intake to support muscle maintenance and growth.
So in this case, what could be most suited is a slight calorie deficit in order to lose some overall body fat, but keeping your protein super high and being consistent with your nutrition. If you wanted to do a quicker muscle gaining phase, then you could obviously increase your surplus calories, but there have been actually studies and research that have shown even in huge surpluses, the amount of muscle gain in compared to a more gradual surplus is quite similar, except obviously with a big surplus, the amount of body fat on top of that is usually much higher.
So the particular study that I'm referring to investigated the effects of different energy surpluses on strength, muscle size and skin fold thickness in resistance trained individuals. 17 participants completed the study and they were divided into 3 groups. So maintenance energy, moderate energy surplus, which was of 5%, and high energy surplus, which was of 15%. The study aimed to determine if there were differences in muscle thickness, squat and bench 1 repetition maxes or skin fold thickness between the groups after 8 weeks of resistance training. The results suggested that larger energy surpluses primarily increase fat gain rather than muscle gain or strength improvement, and the study concluding that a moderate surplus may be sufficient for muscle growth and strength improvement, while excessively large surpluses may lead to unwanted fat gain without additional muscle gains. It was acknowledged that individual factors like prior training experience and genetic predispositions can influence the optimal rate of body mass gain for hypertrophy.
So this person wouldn't necessarily expect a massive reduction in the scale weight using this process because they're increasing and enhancing their functional and physical strength. So muscle mass is increasing whilst overall body fat is decreasing. Example of a candidate on a different scale is someone who's never lifted before and is totally new to the gym. They're going to see much faster results than, say, someone who has been a bodybuilder for years on end and really consistently trained.
Then we've got overweight, obese individuals. So this would just be someone with a higher percentage of body fat relative to lean body mass. So one approach could be aiming for a moderate calorie deficit to promote fat loss whilst preserving muscle mass, incorporating resistance training to build muscle and boost metabolism, and focusing on progressive overloading to stimulate muscle growth, as well as including regular cardio sessions to increase overall calorie expenditure. Some changes could be sustainable lifestyle changes like more mindful eating, portion control, looking at stress levels to support more of a long-term transformation. So these are just some general categories, super important to consider just individual factors, fitness levels and specific needs.
Okay, let's get into the principles of body recomposition.
First things first, you want to set your primary goal, so determine whether your primary focus is on losing body fat, gaining muscle mass, or a combination of both. This will then guide your nutrition and training approach. So step 2 is taking a body fat percentage assessment before setting your macros. You can use a lot of different methods. I personally just like to use a visual estimate using a comparison chart. Knowing your body fat percentage just helps in estimating your lean body mass and being able to set realistic expectations and goals. Then number 3 is calculating your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE. This just represents the total number of calories you burn in a day, including exercise and daily activities. There are loads of calculators online to be able to estimate your TDEE based on your personal individual factors like your age, gender, weight, height, activity levels and goals. Number 4 is to determine your caloric intake. So again, this is depending on your primary goal, whether that's fat loss, muscle gain or maintenance, and you want to adjust your calorie intake accordingly.
Please don't imitate anyone else's calories or macros. It's pointless because we all have totally different activity levels, gender, ages, weights. There is so many factors that come into this, hormone levels, and it's just a pointless cycle. You're much better working out your actual calorie needs and getting better at understanding that. If your goal is fat loss, then you want to create a moderate deficit.
So that's usually 10 to 20% below your TDEE, whilst for muscle gain, you want to aim for a slight calorie surplus, so maybe 5 to 10% above your TDEE. If your goal is maintenance, consume your calories close to your calculated TDEE. And then you want to set your protein intake. Protein is so crucial for muscle growth, repair, and you want to be making sure you're eating the right amount of protein per pound of lean body mass per day. I always like to start with protein first and then distribute remaining calories between your carbs and fats. Some people prefer higher carbohydrate intake for energy during workouts, while others prefer higher fat intake for satiety and hormonal balance. And of course, you can adjust your macros based on your progress. I always think it's good to regularly just check in with yourself, how you're finding your current program, tracking things where you can, and adjust your macros as you need from there. Don't feel like you're stuck.
When it comes to your protein intake, you want to be getting as many whole foods, lean sources of protein, so things like oily fish, chicken, turkey, low fat percentage, beef mince, and having a daily protein intake. So
a general guideline is 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
When you work out your maintenance calories, and you can input your splits, and then in my fitness pal, which is what I use, that's where I adjust my percentages. And then I'd always recommend trying a certain split for about 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, and seeing how you get on, and then altering accordingly from there, ever so slightly, just making little changes. Say if you feel like you just generally prefer a lot more carbs, you can just adjust your macro splits. Now for the training aspect of body recomp. So you need to be following a resistance training program. This involves challenging your muscles with an external stimulus to promote strength and growth gains. Principles of resistance training is firstly progressive overload, where you gradually increase either the weight, intensity, volume or resistance of your workouts over time. This constant challenge makes sure you're having continued muscle adaptation and growth. And what is key here is exercise selection. So you need to be including your compound lifts, and your compound lifts, they recruit multiple muscle groups. So exercises like your squats, deadlifts, bench presses, bench presses, rows and overhead presses. These compound movements maximize efficiency and also effectiveness in targeting multiple muscle groups in each exercise. What's key with your training program is that it focuses both on strength and hypertrophy. So strength training focuses on lifting heavy weights for fewer reps to build maximal strength, whilst your hypertrophy training involves lifting moderate weights for higher repetitions to stimulate muscle growth. So a well-rounded program will include a mixture of both to optimize your results. Alongside your resistance training, you also want to have a cardiovascular routine. This doesn't mean it needs to be HIIT or super intensive workouts like that. It can literally be having a LISS routine, so literally just walking alongside your workouts, so having a daily step goal if that's something that's more manageable. But not only is progressive overload important, but consistency with your workouts, both your cardio workouts and your resistance ones. Like, you're not going to see body recomp results if you stick at this for 2 weeks. It needs to be over a prolonged period of time to see the best results, and patience is an absolute virtue here. You're always going to face some sort of challenges. It's just about how you overcome those challenges. So say if you feel like you've really hit a plateau, it could just mean tweaking and changing your calories and your macro split, or modifying your workout routine to prevent overtraining and muscle fatigue. I feel like I've tried every kind of phase. I've tried not lifting weights, I've tried going just mainly doing strength workouts, and it's all about finding a good balance of all. I personally find it most successful when I'm doing a mixture of obviously hypertrophy training, some strength sets like combined, and then keeping either my LISS cardio up, and then I've recently started running, so making sure that on my running days that I'm fueling myself properly, so not in a crazy low deficit on those running days where I'm, say, running for an hour, burning 700 calories. I will eat those 700 calories back, otherwise I'll end up being in a crazy deficit for the week. It's about making small, sustainable lifestyle choices rather than doing these big heavy diets that are just not really maintainable over time, and being flexible with it and also enjoying the process. I really hope you found this video useful. I would love to hear what you thought in the comments down below, and if you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments. I would love you to stick around by subscribing, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.